Okay, my friends, if I come across as a little bit too excited about this topic, I apologize. I think every single time I've trained this topic to individuals or groups, I give a little upfront that like, sorry if I come across a little too passionate about this one. But today I'm talking about follow up. All right. Follow up. It's the name of the game. It's the bread and butter. It's the sustainability of any sales professional. It really, really is. And we're going to talk about that today. But first, I want you to understand it from its contextual basis. Okay. So, an interesting way to look at what I'm about to say is imagine that you go on vacation and you're going to be gone for 30 days on an amazing Scottish tour and trip to France. I don't know. I just made that up. Okay. But you're going to be gone for 30 days. But the problem is you forgot to tell someone to get your mail, right? Let's also add a fun layer. You've got one of those old school mailboxes that are attached to the house that the mailman would put the mail like in and it would be in your house. So anyway, my grandma had that. So anyway, you get back from your European vacation, right? You walk into the house and whoa, there's like a tsunami of mail sitting there, right? Most of it's bills, so on and so forth. But you have some newspapers too. Now the thing is picture that you're a news buff. Okay. You read your news on your phone as well. You see the cover of that newspaper and it was a story you read on the plane, a month ago or 2 weeks ago. Let me ask you something. Do you have this extreme motivation to read that newspaper if you've already seen it on your phone? No. Right. Do you have a need to open the bill for your car payment if you already made the payment online? No. And when you break it down to its fundamental root, what does that mean? Right? It means that, remember this, nobody reads old news. Nobody. Okay. And that is a problem. And one of the drivers of the problems of sales professionals is we fail to understand the point that nobody reads old news. So let me give you an example. When I see a salesperson set a follow-up, it's usually, when's good to talk to you again? When's good to talk to you again about, the exact thing that we've already been talking about? When's good to get you back on the phone to see when we're ready to do this? Okay, well, see what I mean? That's old news. We've already been there. We've already done that. So we'll talk about fundamentals in a minute as to how to change that dynamic and continuously be reinventing the reason for follow-ups. It's absolutely fundamental. Okay. Before we do that, one more point. Follow-ups should not be about getting money, earning the business, getting signatures. It's never about that. Okay. What it's about is making another point of contact. If you're setting follow-ups with the sole basis of earning business or getting something for yourself, you're really missing the mark. It's really putting the cart before the horse if you are trying to get them on the phone to do business versus get on the phone to accomplish something else. So let's talk about that, right? I've laid it out. I've told you the stories. I've laid the foundation of the why behind things. But I want to talk to you exactly about 3 simple steps that you can follow when setting follow-ups. They're very contextual based, very strategy based. 3 steps. You ready? Number 1. Number 1 is I want you to, before you set a follow-up, I want you to first find out what's wrong. I'll say it again. Find out what's wrong. Okay? An easy way to do that, we'll talk about a couple of ways, is one, you can use what I call a scale. It's not what I call it, it's what it's called. Okay. But you know what I'm saying, right? So scale, so cold to hot. Tell me where you are, right? 1 to 5, 5 being best, 1 being worst. Like, how did you feel about the home we looked at, right? 1 to 10, 10 being best, 1 being the worst. How did you feel about the offer from that seller or from that buyer? Where are you at before we talk about getting back on the phone? Now, that is vital. Finding out what is wrong before you set a follow-up, what it does is it gives you the reason, the tangible reason, and most importantly, the reason the client wants to hear back from you. So you see what we're doing there? We're changing the dynamic of the follow-up being about getting the business or doing this or doing that to accomplishing exactly what your client told you was wrong. Their emotions are better than what our guesses are. So never play a guessing game with why you're setting a follow-up or guess what is right or wrong based on your own mind. Just ask your client a sliding scale question and see what their answer is. Now, folks, anything less than a 10, there's something wrong. So simply just ask for clarification. How do we get closer to your expectation? And presto, guess what's going to happen? They're going to tell you what's really wrong. And now we can create the basis for a strong follow-up. So let's talk step 2. Okay, step 2. Step 2 is about engagement. It's about involvement, and it is about action. Let's say that again: engagement, involvement, and action. That's step 2. All right. So when I say engagement, I want to involve my client somehow. So for example, all right, thank you. I'm going to work on that price. I appreciate you being honest with me. Step 1. So let's do this. I'm going to email you over what we're thinking. What I want you to do is look for that email, and I want you to send me a reply just to make sure I got everything right. Let's start there. Can you do that first? Do that before we get back on the phone, okay? Now, seems simple, but what you need to understand is the more points of contact you have with the person, and the more you involve them or create action, the more likely it is that your clients will answer the phone when you want them to, and quite frankly, answer the phone at all. So again, involve, engage. And the way you can do that is 1, ask them to do something for you. 2, ask them to answer a question for you. Or 3, ask them to send you something. So for example, send me an updated pre-approval letter, send me an updated this, send me an email with your ideal scenario for what a bathroom would look like. Again, I'm just making that up. But the thing is once we figure out what's wrong, step 1, we got to figure out how we're going to solve that problem, right? And that's really what step 2 is about. It's about fixing it. So how do we fix this situation? How do we make it more likely for you to get on the phone? That's what step 2 is about, but we need to engage them. Do something, ask a question, have them send something to you. Now they're part of this, not just you doing things. Trust me. Follow-up rate goes up big time when your clients are engaged. Now let's touch on step 3. Okay, step 3 is setting an appointment, but I see sales professionals be very, very loose when they're setting appointments. The most common way I see sales professionals set appointments is, so when's good for you tomorrow? Or, hey, when's good for you this week? We're kind of handing the control of that over to our client versus controlling our time. See our other training on time blocking. I think it'll be a valuable kind of tie into what I was just saying. So be sure to check out that course as well. But the reality is when we're specific actions will get specific results. I'll say that again. Specific actions will get specific results. So what I recommend is a very simple sales tactic. I'm not reinventing the wheel. This is an oldie but a goodie, okay? And what it's called is the triplicate duplicate. I'll say it again. What we're teaching you today is the triplicate duplicate. All right. Now, just pretend that you're my client. Okay. We've gone through step 1. I figured out what's wrong. Step 2, I've engaged you. I've created a reason for us to continue conversing before the next time we speak. Now, here we are. I'm going to set a time to talk to you. So, when is going to be good for you tomorrow? Will the morning, the afternoon, the evening, what's going to be best for you? Okay. So let's back up. Let's discuss what's happening. So first of all, you'll notice that I'm assuming tomorrow will be a good time to follow up. I'm keeping the control of that follow-up in my hands because what we know about follow-up is the more days we allow a person to go without talking to us, the greater likelihood that we will lose that opportunity. Cold hard fact. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, right? So when you're setting follow-ups, you want to focus on 24 hours or less or as close to that threshold as possible to keep that business relationship strong and thriving, especially in a real estate environment where that sales cycle could be as short as a week or could be as long as 30 days. We've got to make sure we keep that person involved in listening and talking with us as much as possible. So there's your triplicate. I want to be in control of tomorrow, morning, afternoon, or evening. Now, what I'm doing as well is I'm creating that feeling of choice for my clients. So they feel like both they're working with themselves, they're working with me, and everybody's winning. Okay, so they're still choosing triplicate, morning, afternoon, evening. Now let's say that you respond with, "Ooh, I'm busy tomorrow morning. Could you catch me around lunchtime?" Now here comes our duplicate. Great, lunchtime. So it looks like I can squeeze you in either at 12:15 or 12:30, 12:35. Which of those two options do you think meets your expectations tomorrow? 12:15. Okay. So look what we've done. We've gone from the way we may have done it before, which is, hey, when's good for you next week? Being very nonchalant about it, to now putting ourselves in control of the outcome. When is good tomorrow? Triplicate, morning, afternoon, or evening. Duplicate, 12:15 or 12:30. Wonderful. Okay. What we've done is we've created momentum. We've figured out what's wrong. We've created engagement and involvement. And now we are way increasing the likelihood that follow-ups will be answered as well as continue over a long period of time. So my name is Rob Peoples. You can call me Peeps. I'm your sales coach, and I'm darn glad to be doing this again. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Sell well.